Welcome back to Sci-Fi Book Trek. This week, our spoiler review of Stephen King's The Running Man. But first, a summary.
It starts off being introduced to Ben Richards, who's kissing goodbye his wife, Sheila, and their ill daughter, Kathy. He's decided to walk across town to the TV building and sign up to the network's games. Which he will probably die, but his wife and family will get money. After the arduous journey avoiding rampaging motorbike gangs, he finally gets there in the early morning, joins the queue. He gets in, registers, does a series of tests, and then gets put on the Running Man. He's then introduced to the executive producer of The Running Man, a man named Killian, who tries to shake his hand, but Richards doesn't want any part of him. So Killian offers him a woman to spend the night with him.
Can I offer you a drink? How about this expensive prostitute?
Richards doesn't want any of that because he's married. So he goes to his room and starts reading some books. Then the show starts. Mr. Richards is pulled out in front of the audience, who's booing and chanting at him that he should be killed.
Burn the witch!
He's dragged off and put in an elevator to go down to the first floor for America, ground floor for England, and kicked out onto the sidewalk. And that's where he starts his running. So Richard quickly goes off to his old haunt, where he knows there's this person of ill repute who can knock him up some fake papers. So he gets those, gives him some money, because the networks gave him some money before he starts running, so he can, pay for things and hopefully buy a weapon so he can kill some police, which he'll get more money for. Richard gets out with a disguise, flies to New York, first time he's ever been on a plane, and stays 2 days at a hotel before getting paranoid, going downstairs and going, yes, I'm going to stay an extra 5 days. Goes upstairs, puts a do not disturb sign on, and jumps out fire exit. He then goes to Boston and then gets paranoid, hyper paranoid, and decides, oh no, they're onto me. They've surrounded the building.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
He gets into the elevator, smashes it so he can hotwire it to go down to the basement. Gets into the basement, sees there's a load of stacks of paper and rats everywhere. And he thinks, I've got an idea. I'm going to set light to it. And he does. And then he thinks, I'm in the basement. Finds a manhole cover, lifts it open to like a drainage tunnel, gets inside, puts the lid back on, so no one will know, even though the building is on fire at this point and it's, minutes away from exploding the gas boiler. He managed to wriggle a bit, just gets his legs through, the boiler explodes, there's a massive explosion, rattles the pipe, also the heat's getting extremely hot in this melt pipe, but he manages to bend himself just right, get round the corner of this pipe, and get into a bigger sewer. Then he finds a ladder out of the sewer. climbs up. Well, waits till night, climbs up, finds a small kid, threatens him, and so a small kid goes, I know, I'll bring my older brother.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
So we find his name is Bradley. He helps Richards out by hiding him and also getting him a getaway car, and also informing Richards that the network is mostly there to stop people going outside and breathing in the pollution, and also not telling people that, you know, all the factories are pumping out tons of pollution and killing a lot of people.
Through respiratory diseases.
Yes. Richard works out that, yeah, his child is probably one of the victims. So he decides, I know, I'm going to record a little video for the network, because he has to record 2 videos a day just to prove he's alive, and also so the network can track him.
Yes.
So he records these videos telling about the air pollution, hands them in, and watches the Running Man that night, where he sees a doctored video of himself. Instead of talking about air pollution, he's just saying, you know, not
Fuck
nice
the police.
things. Yeah.
Then I noticed she was sitting on her sweet can. I grabbed her sweet can. Oh, just thinking about her can. I just wish I had her sweet can.
So after that, Bradley gets Richard into a boot of a car, drives him to Manchester, Manchester, and where he's also brought another car for Rich to use. So that's already been took up the day before. He drops him off in Manchester with the disguise of a priest.
No one is gonna believe Archer is a priest.
For your info, I'm in. Turn it off.
Okay, Jesus! Shit.
Richard goes to his hotel room, spends 2 days there, gets paranoid again. Then he goes to Portland and meets another friend who gets killed, and then he hijacks a car with a woman in it. And that's
Amelia. Yes.
So he takes Amelia on a lovely, merry hostage ride up the coast to the fictional American city, Derry, which has only appeared in Stephen King books. Richards, in a sort of hostage negotiation, decides, I know, I'll release my hostage if you can give me a plane. But then Richard says, I've got a bomb. A bomb that's so big it could kill everyone.
Yes. Made out of, it's a plastic explosive which has the explosive capacity to essentially level the airport and a good chunk of the surrounding landscape.
Now, he quickly describes this to Amelia, like what it would look like, and grabs her purse and shoves it under his shirt to pretend to be the bomb, and then kicks her out of the car. She goes off to be interrogated quite severely by the hunters. So Richard manages to get his plane, get on it, and before they take off, he immediately decides, you know what? I need more hostages. Let me have Nicole and Amelia. They carry on flying about a bit, and then the network manages to broadcast a sort of TV signal, a sort of TV phone call to Richards on the plane, and it's Killian. And Killian says, you've done good. You've done so good. We want you to become the head hunter. But then Killian also says, I do have some bad news. Your wife and child were brutally stabbed to death 10 days ago, about the time you started running. And so Richards decides, okay, well, I've got nothing to live for. I might as well take the deal. Takes the deal. He's going to land. They turn around the plane. And Richard decides, no, you know what? I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. So he kills everyone on the plane except Amelia, who he gives her a parachute.
I need you to pull it really hard. Not now. We're on the plane, you dumbass. What now?
Richard is seriously injured at this point. He's dying. He's got his guts falling out of him. He manages to get into the cockpit and he starts getting the plane lower and lower. And he sees the tower, the network tower, in the distance. And he thinks, I know what to do. And so the last part of the book is Killian looking out of his window, seeing a massive jet plane coming right at him, full of fuel, and Richard's flipping him off.
Sitting in the cockpit.
And then there's a large explosion. Right then, so on to Loves and Hates.
I don't think there was anything that I particularly hated about this. I mean,
what did you love then?
I actually love the I love the setting, as perverse as that sounds. I liked, as I said in the non-spoilers version, I liked the fact that this is such a depressing, horrible setting, and the characterization of Richards just comes across so much as a man who's so downtrodden. And all of the, as I said, all the language kind of speaks to that idea that they've been beaten down and broken up and kept separate because that's an easier way to control people.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly.
I've got a plan so cunning you could put a tail on it and call it a weasel.
But yeah, the whole setting I think is frankly perfect. It really gets across this idea of hopelessness, and I think that comes across really, really well for me. That is one of the things that I really like about this. The idea that there's not a resolution at the end of the book as well kind of comes as another element that I suppose I kind of like. I was in two minds about it. It's like, do Richard's actions actually lead on to a conclusion? And it's, to go with the theme of the book, it's like, well, no. His actions are a single moment of defiance, certainly.
Yeah.
And it's a moment of defiance that I think is well earned, considering everything that's happened to him and considering what the resolution is ultimately going to be. I mean, you say that was a bit of a sort of an over-the-top thing where Killian is looking out his window and he can see Richard's flipping him the bird in the cockpit. And it's
I just felt that was a bit Looney Tunes.
It was, yes, but it also fits with that final act of fuck you. Yeah. But then you've also got that hopeful aspect with Bradley, the fact that they have a gang suit, they're going to the library, they're trying to make, they're trying to better themselves through research, through education. They're building themselves these nose filters.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're trying to better themselves. I would say they're trying to get information they're denied.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find out how the world actually works and try and make something out of it using their intelligence.
Yeah, because they aren't thick. They're not.
Yeah.
This stratification of the rich and the poor, the idea that the rich are there because they have done something that is deserving of them being rich. And meanwhile, you've got Richard, you've got Bradley, you know, you've got Elliot or Elton.
Then he goes to Portland and meets another friend who gets killed. Elton, I think it's, yeah.
And all of them are characterized as fairly intelligent people, but they're all at the sort of the lower end of the social strata. And they are actually more intelligent than anyone's given them credit for, but they're not allowed to progress beyond that glass ceiling because they're essentially being kept at, you know, kept down by the guys on the top.
It's showing that the American dream is just a dream. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll tell you, I agree with you.
Sorry, go on.
Like,
yeah, I'm talking.
Well, no,
talking out my.
I agree with you for your loves. I'll go on to some of the things I hate.
Go on.
Even though, you know, I do agree with you for your loves. Some of the things I wouldn't say hate, but dislike would be what I've mentioned before. Some of the language in there. Some of the slurs be like racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever. Some of them I don't think need to be in there.
You said that you thought they'd pushed past the point of them being...
It felt like sometimes they were just in there for shock value from the author rather than shock value from the characters. And I just felt that could have been dialed back a bit. But also, you could probably take out quite a few of them. And the ones left in will have more of a punch when, like, they're said. And also, like, I don't think it played in with the story because there never seemed to be, like, racial violence, so to speak. Like, the network never seemed to be setting up, like, races against each other or, you know, gay characters against straight characters, whatever. It was always the class thing, rich versus poor. And that was, like, its driving thing. So I felt having, like, racial slurs and stuff like that fully didn't need to be there. It felt like it was trying to do something that never went anywhere and did nothing really about it. And But on that note, talking about something that didn't go anywhere would be the whole pollution aspect of it. The air pollution with the nose guards and stuff, that just comes out like the middle of the book, left field, and he's just like, pollution. And then sort of disappears.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't really have an arc, doesn't really do anything. It's just...
It kind of gives him a wider cause, but then I still maintain that his cause was never to fix the world.
Yeah.
It was to try and fix it for his wife.
I don't think it...
It's not about saving our world. It's about saving theirs.
Added more motivation to his story or his plight. I say on to nitpicks.
Yes.
Right then. Have you got many?
I've got a couple. Okay, my main one, and it goes with the air pollution aspect of it. This whole thing about the air pollution and that the air is toxic for people to breathe, and yet that kind of does not compute with the air cars. The cars that run on compressed air. I don't know. Either the air is so toxic that you can actually run it on the fumes in the air. But that actually felt like a weird sort of disconnect for me, and it kept bothering me all the way through. It's like, yeah, you talk about the air pollution, you talk about factories and pumping out crap and everything else, but then you've got cars that run on compressed air. And to me, that seems almost like a Okay, someone's recognised that the air pollution's a problem and have moved cars over from petrol to air.
I understand what you mean. There was space around it.
Yeah. I mean, the other one was more related to Richard's injuries, the injuries that he sustains earlier on.
Yeah.
After he and Elton or Elliot.
Yeah. After, like, when he's getting to his car, being chased in Portland.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's saying that he's suffering from basically what is a shattered ankle.
Yeah.
And that he's got a
I think
bullet wound in. He's got like a wound in his side that keeps opening up and keeps clotting and opening, clotting and opening. I know the man's running on adrenaline, but I don't remember any point where he actually
does any medical surgery, like just even bandages or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be running on adrenaline for that long.
Yeah, you'd think he would have bled to death.
Yes. Or at the very least, like when he describes about stomping on the gas pedal or stomping on the brake pedal when they're in the roadblock with Amelia and he stomps on the pedals with his foot to get them out of the situation, and he's describing shooting pains up that foot. And the idea that he can walk on it in any sort of... If he shattered his ankle, even the amount of adrenaline running through his system as someone who's basically being chased to death.
Have you tried cocaine?
I don't know, it just...
Well, it's also when he gets to the airport, because he drops a gun, because he has got a gun on Amelia. Yeah. He drops it because he just can't hold it anymore.
Exactly.
But yeah, about 1-2 hours later...
Yeah, because he's sitting in the car for 90 minutes.
He's sitting in the car bleeding to death. But then he walks up some steps to get into the aircraft.
Yeah.
That's fine, even though he seems to be losing consciousness 2 hours before.
Yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Those are mine anyway.
Right. Now, this is... I don't know whether it's a nitpick or it's something actually going into dislikes. Richards is apparently 28.
Yeah.
And his wife is 26 at the time. However, Richards does mention that he married at 16.
Which would make his wife 14.
14. Which I didn't think was legal in the States, but...
I am from Germany, where the age of consent is 14.
What is it, the Alabama of Europe?
We are talking about a dystopian...
Yeah, it just seems like as the legal age dropped...
I mean, don't forget that...
I mean, I don't know. But
there's multiple places in the States as well where the legal age of consent is 18. I mean, I think some of them look at us with a legal consent age of 16 and think, Jesus, you're a bit liberal.
Well, yeah. All right. There was a part when he was doing the tests. It was the intelligence tests.
And
it was with the woman. And she gives him the first test. And then she goes, the first part will be verbal. But it's a written test. So it's not verbal. And he was just like, what? Makes no sense. Surely he would have to speak.
He would have to give his answers.
Yeah,
spoken,
verbally.
Yeah.
Not written.
Or that his questions are verbal. Or, yeah.
I mean, I think what she meant was...
I didn't pick up on that. That's...
Yeah. I think it was just a vocabulary test. That's what she meant.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she said verbal. Which is a different sort of test. But I've rounded down to 2 nitpicks.
Okay.
Left. One would be when he's in the YMCA. He sets fire to the paper, which is fine. He crawls in the tunnel, which is fine. Why don't rats follow him? Because it says there's a grill on.
Yeah.
And rats can compress their spine to get through stuff. If there's a fire behind them, they're going to try to pour down that gap. So why don't rats...
Even more horrifying.
Yes. Because I was constantly reading that going, oh God, the rats are going to come. The rats. Rats never come. I'm just like, and I was like, why no rats? Like, I'm sort of half glad there's no rats, but I'm also thinking, why were no rats?
Why no rats? It's going to become the new meme. Why no rats?
Why no rats? Right. Reese's goes into the end. Now, Richard says he's only flown twice. Once in the where he flies
when he goes to New York, yeah,
and once on the plane. Yet he knows how to put a parachute on because he tells Amelia how to put a parachute on. How does he know? He's never flown. Why would he need to know how to put a parachute on? But the other thing is, he's flown twice. At the end of the book, he's flying the plane, essentially. I mean, it's still on sort of autopilot, and he's just nudging it this way and that. But he never seems to nudge it the wrong way. He never flips it, like, accidentally goes, what's this?
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah. He never, like, thinks it's a car and just, like, goes, oh, well, I want to go over there. Turn. Wrong.
He does ask the pilot how to do it, but yes, and by that point...
Yeah, but they just give him, like, a quick...
Yeah, quick basic. So if the pedals move that, the rudder's basically just controlling up and down. And at that point, when he is flying it, he's basically blinking in and out of consciousness, and he's doing a remarkably good job of it. So yeah, I grant you that.
Stay in formation. Target's just ahead. Target should be clear if you go in low enough. You'll have to decide. You'll have to decide.
The other thing that I would say, though, is that, while he is uninformed, or should be uninformed considering his background, he then also has a remarkable amount of knowledge about a particular brand of plastic explosive and how the trigger mechanism for it is, and he can describe it down to the point where he can pass that information on to Amelia, and she can then pass it on to McCone and convince him enough that it's like, holy shit, that is real. You know, this man actually has a block of plastic explosive under his jacket, and he's got the trigger mechanism, and that's never
But anyway, let's go on to
final thoughts.
Yeah. And adaptations.
Yes. So before we go on to final thoughts properly, we'll talk briefly about the adaptation, because...
Right, the adaptation.
I've not seen the film. Not properly. I'm not kidding.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it before. When you came in before recording, that was me trying to watch it.
You've never seen the film? I'm almost tempted to say, stop, we can watch the film.
Well, that was the thing. I got 10 minutes in.
Right. The similarities. The world's a dystopia. Some of the names are the same or used for characters who have been either smushed together, like two different characters put in together. And what else is the same? Pretty much nothing. Ben Richards is on the run and he's being chased by people and might be being killed, and it's a rigged game. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
Everything else...
And I got that from 10 minutes of the film.
Everything else is completely different. Like, the hunters in the book, they're nothing, they're just normal people.
Yes.
They're not colourful, they're not large life. Ben Richards himself is emaciated, smokes a lot, drinks, and swears.
Loves his wife.
like racially swears, like slurs and stuff come out of his mouth like nothing. Yeah, and he's doing it for his dying child. But yeah, Ben Richards, like, I'm closer to Ben Richards in the book than Arnold Schwarzenegger is. And Ben Richards is like, what, 28, supposed to be. Like, it is. No, it's not Arnold Schwarzenegger in any way.
I mean, King said himself that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the complete opposite end of the scale to his Ben Richards.
Cocainum.
The film is far more, upbeat and light-hearted, even for being like a dystopian 80s film.
Yes, I did catch at least a couple of Arnie's one-liners.
Yeah.
Here is Sub-Zero. Now, Plane Zero.
And like the ending, of course, is wildly different. And in the film, they have like, well, I think it's like 4 sectors of an earthquake hit town or something, which is completely deserted, which they've got run around in. In the book, they have the whole world, in theory, they could run in.
I love the fact it's called Co-op City as well.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we'll go on to
Final thoughts. Yeah, so as far as final thoughts, I would definitely thank our fan Devros for
recommending this book.
Recommending, yes.
To us, yes.
Because
I'm not sure what he thinks of us reviews, but well, hopefully he likes it.
I fully enjoyed it. I will say that. I thought the social aspects of it were really, 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 really good, and the whole sort of theme and the driving aspects of Richards himself, I think that was really, really well done.
Yeah.
I'd definitely throw this at... I think I might try and throw it at me brothers and see what they think of it.
I mean, I still fully can't get out of my head that this feels like an angry teen book. Like, this feels like a teenager wrote it, and it's just him screaming at the world.
Hi, I'm Stephen King. And as you may know, I am totally and completely insane. I like to yell at mice with my shirt off.
Or someone absolutely fucked on cocaine.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I think it's better written than any teenager could. Like, it is well written. It is it's readable from start to beginning, from start to end, and you can follow through it. It is very, very good. But yeah, it does. My overall impression is it's just a primal scream of a book. I think that's what I'm mostly left with.
Yeah. Okay. So, with that in mind, next week we have something slightly different. We've got a top 5.
Yes.
So, we're reviewing the top 5 of the year of the books that we've done. Running Man is not factored into that thinking, actually, because that would probably make it slightly different.
Factored into mine.
I mean, it wasn't factored into mine. Because I'm starting to think, actually, I would change my bloody results, but...
I'll let you change number 5. Now, anyway, that's for next week.
Yes.
The week after that will probably just be a banner, like a bumper video for the intro to our channel. And then after that, we'll get back onto reviews and spoilers
Yes.
as normal.
Because this will probably take us up to past Christmas. So, if you're catching this at Christmas time, have a very Merry Christmas, guys, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah. I think it's going to be at the start of December, but...
I don't know, because that means...
Okay, well, yeah. No. Merry Winterville, one and all.
Yes. Ta-ra, guys.
Then goes to Boston and goes into a rundown YMCA. I think he's trying to hum in the Navy.